Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Algebra Snap.
Today we are joined by Captain Ben Reynolds. Hello, Captain Reynolds. How are you today?
Hey, Edward and Lucas. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me.
So now let's get into the Q&A questions.
Captain Reynolds, what do you do for a living?
So I'm in the Navy. I'm a Navy helicopter pilot by trade. By trade, I mean that's kind of what I grew up in the Navy doing. And then right now, I specialize in Navy budget. I work for the Secretary of the Navy's financial management and budget. So I run a big chunk of the Navy's annual budget.
So, how difficult would you say your job is?
Um, I think it was so in my new like the good thing about the Navy is like every 3 years you kind of move around. This current job, I would say, was for the first 6 months to a year was really hard. Um, because you have to understand the way the Navy operates, but then you have to understand uh, how budgets work and the math behind it. So it was really tough at first. Uh, Not tremendously difficult now, but I work with just some really, I'm actually in the Navy and I just work with some just really talented analyst civilians that are just so darn bright, and that makes a big difference.
Well, we're glad you got through the first part. And what parts of the Navy do you work with? Like, what do you finance?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lucas. So let, just to break it down into big numbers, the Department of the Navy. So, Department of the Navy is Navy and Marine Corps. So, the Secretary of the Navy is in charge of the Navy and Marine Corps. Um, That's about, let's say the DoD budget's about $700 billion a year. The Department of the Navy budget is about $200 billion a year. And I'm in charge of all of our operations and maintenance and military personnel accounts. So I'm in charge of about a hundred. I am in charge of $120 billion annually. About. And so that is everything. It's pretty broad. So that's everything from the pay for sailors and Marines. Uh, that's their special pay and their your monthly paycheck. Um, then that's also paying for the operations of our fleet as they deploy. So buying the gas for the aircraft, the maintenance for the ship, and then the parts to keep things moving. So it's a real um, so it's what you would think of as the operating the so not really buying the big stuff, but the operating budget for the Navy and the Marine Corps. That was quite an answer, huh?
Those are some big numbers. Let's move on to the next question.
So, how long have you been working with the Navy?
Yeah, E- E- Edward, that's a good point. God, it's been a while. I think like heck, like 28 years, maybe. Yeah, 28 years. And so I started off, um, uh, like I said, I graduated. I went to the Naval Academy, graduated from the Naval Academy, and then went on to flight school, uh, and uh, flying helicopters. And then what you do is you do that as your job, if you will. And then when you're and I'm not doing that, um, uh, going to do other jobs like operations analysis or budget and that kind of thing. And so as you get older or more senior in the Navy, you develop these other skill sets.
Okay. And what led you to joining the Navy?
Boy, that's a man. I think about that question all the time. I grew up in Oklahoma and didn't have we didn't have a lot of money. My mom raised us herself and said, "Hey, we want you to go to a good school." And she said I could send you to about any school. that you can go to that's free. I did. It's interesting that we're on this Algebra Snapchat, this podcast because I was good in math and science and I worked hard at it and I liked it. And so I did pretty well in school, and then I went into the Naval Academy, and then that's kind of how I just kept going from there. I know it might sound, I don't know if it sounds corny or whatever, but I really I like the greater purpose. I like serving something greater than myself, and it's meaningful to me.
So how does math apply in your job?
Wow, that's a and that's spot on. So I was just talking to gosh, how she was a younger girl. I think she was 12, and she was talking about a interest in flying. And I said, well, you have to be to start. You have to be good at math, and or you have to at least work hard at math. I don't necessarily believe that. Some people it's easier than others, but it's really just grinding through it, right? So flying planes and doing that, you have to understand math and be good enough at it. And then in my particular job, um, it's so the so there's not really a lot of I have had jobs in the past where you get into calculus and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of uh uh straight algebra, straight numbers, Edward. It's a lot of Excel or spreadsheets like that. But then also, so I have to understand, like, hey, if you're having if a say Pacific Fleet is burning through money at a faster rate than what we thought for whatever reason. It's understanding that rate and understanding the trends and understanding what operations are going on, and if they're going to maintain that rate. But then it's also so I think that's a lot of straightforward math. Then I think we get into but I mean I get into more complicated, like looking at probabilities and understanding that, for example, our ship maintenance budget is $11 billion, and understanding what you get for your money, and understanding the probability and statistics behind that is is important. So I use I like to tell our folks. I said, for FMB, that's the budget folks that work for me. I said, the most important thing is to get the numbers right, and then that's all of our credibility, and then everything after that is we'll figure it out. But yeah, we use it on a daily, hourly, by the minute basis. So a lot of math, but enjoyable.
Um, Mr. Captain Reynolds, what tools do you use for your job?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, so we have a couple of databases that we use. So there's a database that Department of Defense, Department of Navy has some databases. Um, and then there's some programs that we use to uh, study our, like I said, kind of the probability and statistics. They use, like, I think you'd hear them like as you go through math, like R and R, that kind of stuff. We use a ton of Excel, and a lot of spreadsheets like that. Um, I think those are the big day to day kind of databases and tools that we use. But a lot of I'll tell you, and you know what else? It's a lot of just understanding the business, and it's pretty funny. Like, you'll if you're you, you don't want to get things mixed up like millions and billions. You're talking big, big numbers. So understanding the business and understanding, it's great to see that math being applied. So understanding, like, out of an $11 billion ship maintenance budget, like I said, well, why does it cost $50 million to fix this ship and only 20 to fix this other one? So those are the big tools, I would say. Um, yeah, I'd say just those standard math tools that you understand, and then the experience of doing what I've done in the past.
Thank you for joining us today, Captain Reynolds.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on your awesome podcast, and best of luck to you both.
Thank you. And thank you, viewers, for listening to our podcast.